For years, major motion pictures have let storytelling take a backseat to social justice messaging, and because of that, each and every woke production this year has failed. Even those released under big brands, like Pixar's Lightyear and Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder. Simply put, they flicked too hard. But when audiences are turning their backs on even the big boys, what chance do original productions like the LGBTQIA+ romantic comedy Bros stand? As it turns out, none at all, because Bros bombed in a spectacular fashion, failing to gross even $5 million in its domestic opening weekend. There is no coming back from that, anywhere. In this Postmortem then, I will go through the fairly obvious reasons why the movie failed, how the people involved reacted to it, and which lessons Hollywood should take away from this. Full disclosure, I have not seen Bros, as it has not yet been released in my territory, and after this weekend, I would not be surprised if the scheduled theatrical release ends up being cancelled and the movie dumped to whichever local streaming service will have it, as once you leave the US, Peacock really isn't all that readily available. Here's the thing though, no one else saw it either, as it played in front of more than 3,000 virtually empty theaters this weekend. As such, you don't have to see it in order to tell why it failed, because the audience rejected it unseen. Why would the audience do that? Why wouldn't they give it a chance? First, some credit where credit is due. Bill Eichner could have filled the movie with established actors with a proven box office draw. With nearly $30 million at his disposal, he certainly had the budget for it, but instead, he chose to cast talented actors of LGBTQ persuasion who hasn't gotten a break or spotlight like this before, so kudos for that. I will also give Bros credit for, by all accounts, being honest in its marketing. It even went full meta, having writer and star Billy Eichner appear in character as some podcaster it is implied is so famous that the audience should know who he is, being tasked with making a gay romantic comedy that straight guys will want to watch with their girlfriends. And right there, not even 20 seconds into the trailer, the movie was dead on arrival. You see, there is no such thing as a romantic comedy that straight guys want to see out of their own volition. Sure, straight guys will voluntarily see an action movie or a comedy with a romantic subplot, even one that is pushed to the forefront in the marketing campaign to bring in the ladies. But not an all-out romantic comedy. That's where straight guys draw the line. Romantic comedies are made for and inherently appeal to women. Straight guys will also go see them, but only when made to do so by our girlfriends and eventual wives. That's not to say we don't find some enjoyment in them when we are made to watch them, but the way it generally works is that you make a romantic comedy for the ladies, and the ladies bring their friends, boyfriends, and husbands. But straight guys bringing their girlfriends to any romantic comedy out of their own volition was never going to happen. So, now that we've established that the key audience for romantic comedies are women who bring their friends, boyfriends, and husbands with them, what reason did the ladies have to see Bros? Which character can they recognize themselves in, or even project themselves into, looking for their one true love everlasting?
Oh, you big silly!
None, that's who. So with Bros, you have a romantic comedy, a genre that no straight man will go see unless dragged along by a woman, but this movie doesn't appeal to women. Then you are left with the LGBTQ audience and their allies. That's a single-digit percentage of the world population. To be clear, you still can and should make a movie like Bros for that audience. Not everything has to have four-quadrant appeal, but it has to be budgeted and distributed accordingly, which Bros wasn't. So it will lose the studio more or less everything they spent on making, marketing, and distributing it, as the revenue will be negligible. Really, that's all there is to it right there. There was never a good time to release a movie like Bros, because it has no audience to speak of. But if there ever was a really bad time for it, it is now. To top it off, the trailer ended with disparaging anyone straight. That might have gone down differently not too long ago, but today everything is subversive. Everything is exclusionary towards the majority population, and the majority population has increasingly adjusted their viewing habits to match. From the box office of other movies, and from the streaming numbers that are available, we can see quite clearly that the pendulum has shifted. Writer and star Billy Eichner was understandably disappointed and quick to take to social media. On Sunday, October 2nd, when Friday and Saturday estimates were in and they knew the movie was a catastrophic failure, he tweeted, "Rolling Stone already has Bros on the list of best comedies of the 21st century." Yeah, there was no virtue signaling there. What's also true is that at one point a theater chain called Universal and said they were pulling the trailer because of the gay content. Uni convinced them not to. America, fuck yeah, etc, etc. That's just a world we live in, unfortunately. Even with glowing reviews, great Rotten Tomato scores, an A cinema score, etc., straight people, especially in certain parts of the country, just didn't show up for Bros, and that's disappointing, but it is what it is. Here I should like to mention that when he says certain parts of the country, he actually means outside my postcode. Because a less than $5 million box office in a wide release can only be explained by the movie bombing everywhere, even in the population-dense state of Los Angeles. He finished his rant with, "Everyone who isn't a homophobic weirdo should go see Bros tonight. You will have a blast." And it is special and uniquely powerful to see this particular story on a big screen, especially for queer folks who don't get this opportunity often. I love this movie so much, go broke. Go Bros. But as we established, you don't need homophobia to explain why the movie failed. It simply wasn't made for the majority audience, who had no reason to go. His sentiments were nonetheless echoed by co-star Dot Marie Jones, who Variety quoted as saying, "I don't know if it's because, LGBTQ. It's not contagious. Fucking go see a movie, you know what I mean?" Considering that Jones was at a drag charity event for people suffering from HIV and AIDS at the time, this was perhaps an unfortunate choice of words. Regardless, the movie kept on tanking that Sunday too, and in the end, nothing could prevent Bros from being one of, if not the biggest flop of the year. The lessons to be learned here should be fairly straightforward, and they have nothing to do with the movie itself, which again, hardly anyone saw. Bros was rejected by audiences unseen, and the reason for that is that it's a niche movie which never should have been budgeted for or given a wide release in the first place. It was always going to fail in wide release, no matter what and no matter when it was released. But perhaps it failed a tiny little bit more because the pendulum has shifted, and antagonizing the majority audience might not be dismissed as lightly now as it was when the movie was being made. What do you think? Were you one of the few who saw the movie, and if so, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, check out our good friend Chris Gore's take on why the movie failed by clicking the link on screen or in the description.